Hello out there in television land, this is Mojo. First and foremost, I want to thank God for allowing me to be here. This speech is for anyone who has ever had a dream. It was written as if I was speaking to my son. To all of you who have ever helped me in any way, I thank you. Lastly, to my Aunt Cassandra, I did it. I miss you. This is my story. Everybody on your feet, on your feet, on your feet, hands up, give me some energy. All right, what I want you to do, take your right hand and place it on your hip like this. I want you to lean to your right side, get a good stretch in, put your right hand back up in the air. Now I want you to put your left hand on your hip. Now lean over to your left side, stretch it out, stretch it out, stretch it out for me. Now put both hands back up in the air, lean back, lean back, lean back, good stretch. Okay, bring it forward, and I want you to take your left hand and place it behind your back. And with your right hand, look at this, I want you to take your thumb and your first finger and your index finger and make a circle like this, and I want you to place it on your chin. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not your chin. Everybody grab some real estate, sit down. Seniors of Maysville High School, my name is Jamin McDonald and I'm from Zanesville, Ohio. And I was at a network marketing company event in January 2012, and it was the first time I was introduced to personal development. The event took place in a hotel ballroom in Dallas, Texas. The lines to get inside were wrapped around the building, and I got inside and there were around 4,000 people in this little space. I was in total awe. Listen to me, the event started and a gentleman by the name of Marcus Setta took the stage and he started speaking. He said, the first thing that we want to do when you attend one of our seminars is to make you aware. It changed my life. He said, there you are going to have 3 things that you need to do to get the most out of this business or to get anything you want out of life. They are pay attention, get excited, and never quit. So the first thing I want to do today is to make you aware. We're going to talk about paying attention. See, if you see someone taking a picture and you walk through the photo, you are not paying attention, and that is a lack of awareness. If you're looking at your phone instead of looking both ways before you cross the street, you are not paying attention, and that is a lack of awareness. If you've been instructed to put your finger on your chin and you put it on your cheek, you are not paying attention, and that is a lack of awareness. A lack of awareness can cost you your friendships or your graduation. It can cost you millions, and it can even cost you your life. Listen, I'm going to tell you a story. There was a wealthy foreigner named Ali, and he was content as he had all that he needed. He was rich, man. And a priest from a faraway land came, and he told him about these special diamonds and their worth. See, later that night, Ali went to bed feeling poor, knowing that these diamonds existed. So in the morning, he woke up, sold his farm, and he went off in search of these precious rare diamonds. Unfortunately, he spent all of his money on this, and he went poor. He never found them. He became so disgruntled that he threw himself into the sea penniless. The new owner that purchased the farm one day found an unusual rock, and when the priest came back to the farm, he recognized the rock and said, "This rock is absolutely one of those diamonds." They rushed to the place on the farm where they found the rock and started digging, and they didn't just find diamonds. They found acres and acres of diamonds. The original farmer Ali had been standing in his own acres of diamonds, unaware that it even existed. Ladies and gentlemen of Maysville High, I am not Ali. I am the man that bought his farm. And right now I'm standing in my own field. And here's my diamonds, all of you. There are skills, ideas, talents, and gifts from the diamonds right here in this room. See, I invest in skills. I invest in ideas. I invest in talents. I invest in gifts that the outside world will pay you millions for. Some of you billions. By the end of the day, you're going to know who you are, why you do what you do, and how to change it. And you're going to know what you're capable of. See, what if I could help you predict the sequence of events you'll face in pursuit of your big dream? I'm going to share with you my journey. I'm going to talk about my experience in high school, the pain of dealing with my family, of nearly taking my own life, and as well as the key people being placed in my life when I thought I had no one. We'll go from my dream of playing in the National Football League to that dream ending in a split second. Then how I was introduced to personal development through the endless opportunities of network marketing, and finally how all those experiences led to my development of my personal speaking career. Y'all ready? Here we go. So in 7th grade, guys, I was cut from the junior high school basketball team. I was the last cut, and I bawled my eyes out. See, little did I know, though, it would lead me to a man who understood wealth building and helped install in me a winning mindset. Coach Randy Murgatroyd coached what is known as the B team. And after I got cut, he gave me an opportunity to join them. He told me how Michael Jordan got cut from his varsity team as a sophomore, and he told me that if I was coachable, I could end up just like him. To this day, every time we get off the phone, he still says, Jay, I'm giving you the ball. So Coach Murgatroyd was also a successful businessman who owned a chain of Subways and eventually sold them for millions. So I asked him to teach me about money. He made me read a book at 13 years old called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It was written by a man by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. How many have ever heard of it? So in the book, Robert's father was a man who had a good job, but he didn't have his freedom. But Robert had a friend whose father was a very successful business owner, and he was also the wealthiest man in Hawaii. He told Robert that if he wanted to be rich, there were two things he needed to understand. Rule number one, the rich don't work for money, they work to learn. And rule number two, on payday, the wealthy buy assets and not liabilities. So I learned that an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is something that costs you money. So the wealthy buy assets, and they let those assets then pay for their liabilities. Let me give you an example. So let's say you save all of your money from a job and you buy an apartment complex. The tenants pay you rent to live there. You then take that money given to you in rent and you buy a Lambo. So the apartment complex just paid for your Riz car. Coach Murgatroyd is my real life rich dad. Getting cut and being introduced to him was one of the greatest things that could have ever happened to me. And after reading that book, I became aware of my dream, and I made it my personal mission to become wealthy. Now I want to pose to you the question, what's your big dream? What do you do best? What do you love to do? And I want to tell you that thing that wakes you up and makes you alive, you have it in there for a reason. Some of you come from backgrounds where absolutely nobody is successful, and deep down in your heart, you know you're supposed to be. And you're terrified to even take the first step because of the ridicule you're about to face. I can assure you that you're never going to be happy until you pursue it. I promise it's going to be difficult, but anything less is not living at all. It's going to be clogged with dreamed obstacles, and that's why most people turn back. You're going to have to sacrifice and make big changes that will be worth it. I have been put in your life today to help you understand your journey, because the more you understand, the more likely you are to pursue it. And the most important thing you need to understand is that you were born to win. Follow me down this road. If I could have a conversation with my younger self, I would tell myself to believe much bigger, much sooner. And I want to change your belief in you, and I want to prove it to you how you were born to win without exaggeration. Listen to me. You were born to win because you won your first race. There is only one way into this world, and it's through the process of birth. When you were conceived, hundreds of millions of human cells started a race called life. And there's only one that makes it to the finish line. I know you're born to win because you can hear my voice right now. You won your first race. And you didn't just win, it was total victory. 0 survivors. You won your first race in life and everything after you died. And guess what? I've got more good news. The most difficult race that you will ever have to run, you already won. You were born to win. See, after my parents divorced, I dropped out of college. I went and got a job, but playing in the NFL was still a huge burning desire for me. So I met a friend from work at a job, and we would always talk about me playing at the highest level. And at this point, I just didn't know how it would happen. So one day, he and I were talking again, and he said, Jay, Cheryl, who was our manager, said, he's always talking about that thing, but he ain't never going to do it. He's probably not good enough. So I left 1 week later to go make it happen. On the day you were born, you left the land of comfort. For 9 months, you were protected, you were warm, and you felt safe inside. And now you've been violently thrown into this great big scary world that is completely unknown with danger and uncertainty. That was me when I left my hometown of Zanesville, Ohio in pursuit of my dream. I didn't have any money and I certainly didn't know anyone. This is the part where most people become so uncomfortable that they stop, turn around, and go home. Sometimes you take a step back towards your comfort zone and it feels better and more comfortable. Don't do it. It's a trap. Because the more you walk back towards your comfort zone, the faster the emotion is going to change from uncomfortable to sadness. And you're going to feel sad because you're leaving your dream behind. You better trust me on this. It's a longing that will not go away. And you want to know why it won't go away? Because you are the only person like you in the universe, and no one else can do your dream. It's who you are, and it's up to you to discover it. It's yours to act on. And I can assure you that's unique, and it's important, and it's meant to fulfill a big need. And it's never too late to start, and it's not dead because the big need is there. To do what you most love, you have to do what you most dread. So you have two choices. You can either sacrifice your comfort zone or you could sacrifice your dream. You are never going to love your life the way you're meant to if you don't go for it. And I promise you the pain of change is way better than the pain of staying the same. But Jay, I want this. Why do I feel so afraid? Maysville High School, everybody does. There is an invisible wall called fear. Does anyone know what fear is? Anyone? Listen, it's false evidence appearing real. And the number one thing that it does is creates doubt and causes you to question yourself. But Jay, what if I fail? What if you don't? Well, Jay, what if I don't have what it takes? What if you do? But Jay, no one in my family has ever graduated. What if I can't? What if you can? Well, Jay, what if I get hurt? What if you don't? But Jay, what if it doesn't work? What if it does? Stop. Listen, if you continue to argue for your limitations, I'm going to let you keep them. There is a misconception to think that you shouldn't feel fear, and that is all wrong. There's a thin line between fear and excitement. The difference between those who win and those who don't is the ones who do are courageous enough to start the process. Courage is not the absence of fear, but acting in spite of how you feel. You've got to understand, in order for you to be able to live your dream, you must be molded into the person that is able to handle it when it arrives. The unknown journey prepares you for you to succeed. What you do is a result of what you believe. So you got to reject your wrong thinking and embrace the truth. So I'm going to help you develop a plan that makes a beginning possible. So after my first personal development seminar in Dallas, I wanted to talk to my father. So we scheduled to have a meeting at a local McDonald's. We sat down and I poured my heart out to my father. And I told him all the things that I wanted to accomplish. He really didn't have a reaction. He just kind of sat there with an unamused kid, are you serious look on his face. And when I finished talking, he stood up, reached across the table with both hands, grabbed me by the sides of my head and exclaimed, Jay, don't you want to live this life with some sanity? And I sat back, took in a deep breath and said, no. I walked out. And on that day, I made a decision and said to myself that no matter what, I'm going to make it. That afternoon was a defining moment for me. And you got to understand that it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. I want you to understand that there are going to be people in your life who no matter what are going to try to stop you, get in your way, and stop what you're doing along the lines of your journey. And the hardest part is knowing the people who love you the most can be your biggest opposition. Your uncle, your mom, your best friend, your boss. See, when you go against the tradition of the people that know you best, they aren't going to be happy with it. And do you know why? Because each of them has something to lose if you leave them. That's why they oppose. They're threatened and will upset their comfort zone. They're the most convincing and they exaggerate the risk. You ever put crabs in a barrel and leave the lid off? You know the crabs will start to climb each other in pursuit of getting out. But listen, once one of the crabs starts to make their way over the edge, the other crabs will yank at it and pull the escaping crab back into the barrel, and it causes it to give up. Look, you're going to encounter opposition from those around you. Some of them don't care about you. Some of them will use intimidation and control to block your path. And some of them flat out just won't let you leave to that. And for that, I say, you got to fight for your dream. Don't you let anybody, anywhere, at any time steal your dream. Nobody. I told my mom one time about my idea to turn our garage into a hot box gym. And I had a personal training certification and knew we could bring in some serious revenue if I could get some clients. It would be low cost because we already owned the house and I had the equipment already. And she just immediately shot everything down and could only see the obstacles while all I could see was the opportunity. Even when there was a solution presented, she found another problem within the solution. So listen, she's my mom, I love her, and she definitely has my back. But during that time, she was the ultimate skeptic and kept calling everything a scam. And here's the deal, folks. You can be right or you can be rich. What you got to do is you got to steer clear of that type of talk and thinking because they will suck you into an argument and beat you with experience. Just because they can't doesn't mean that you can't. And at that point, you got a decision to make because what matters most is who you choose to please. See, people often ask me what I miss most about sports. The touchdowns are great. The crowd is great. Locker room was great. See, there is nothing on this planet like the huddle. It's a sacred place. You and yours versus me and mine, baby. And in the huddle, I have to be accountable to my teammate. Those who are in my huddle is who I aim to please. See, in this world, there are all kinds of distractions. So I have to surround myself with the thinking that outthinks me. And you are absolutely going to run into bullies who want to see you lose. But I promise you, you're also going to run into champions who want to see you win. They're going to affirm and support you. They're going to help you pursue your dream. And I happen to be one of those people. See, I moved to Seattle, Washington to begin my professional athletic career. And I took a job at a car dealership so that I could have a few nickels to rub together. And one day a gentleman came in to get his car serviced. The car was clean and so was he. And he drove a brand new Chrysler 300 and he was decked from head to toe in all Jordan athletic apparel. I asked him what he did, and he told me that he was an athletic trainer that used to be a Major League Baseball player. I told him that I was looking for a trainer, but I'm a football guy. So he introduced me to John Pendano. John turned me from amateur to professional. His workouts were relentless, and they were geared towards performing movements with discipline and perfect execution. So one day during a workout, I was struggling doing pull-ups with a weighted vest on. I got frustrated, cussed, dropped from the bar, and I just lost it. So John took me outside and calmed me down, but he had to be hard on me. He knew what I was getting ready to face. The NFL is cutthroat and stands for not for long if you're not mentally tough enough. See, just because the fear is now gone and your bullies are behind you doesn't mean that you're not going to have to endure a series of unexpected trials that just never seem to end. In fact, you're going to endure a season of difficulty that tests your faith, and it's going to take you to the very brink of exhaustion. The resources are slim, and you start to look for a way out from the desperation. And instead of people trusting in the process of being patient, this is where they quit. See, I almost quit. I almost quit to where there was no coming back. See, I grew up in a religious cult. My senior year of high school, I had enough of what I was hearing in church. It was one of the most negative, condemning places I had ever been. And the message was so degrading that on that day I decided I was going to take my own life. See, I was going to get in my car and drive it off the Y Bridge. I'm from Zanesville, Ohio. Just go ahead and Google the Y Bridge. And as I left the building, I ran into a gentleman who I had looked up to. His name was Chad Jackson, and he stopped me, looked me in my face and said, "Jay, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but there is nothing on this planet that is worth killing yourself. Go home, pray, and go to sleep." He had no clue. And that's what I did. It's why suicide bothers me, because it's a split-second decision in an emotional moment that will not last forever. Don't quit 15 minutes before the miracle. I'm telling you right now, you're supposed to be here. Listen to me. When things go wrong, don't go with them. I get that you feel lost and alone. I get that you're angry. I know that you can lose trust in yourself. I understand disappointment. I understand your doubts. Yeah, you're going to cry, but don't cry to quit. You've already cried. Get a reward for your tears. You got to understand where you are right now. It's not too hard and it's not too long. See, you're in a season of preparation for your success, and it's transforming you into the giant you need to be so that you can do your dream. This place will mature you if you let it, and it's necessary for your transformation. And a part of your transformation begins right now with the understanding of where you come from and why you do what you do. All right? So didn't I tell you at the beginning to pay attention? So you got to pay attention to this right now. I need your focus. See, how many of you have ever heard of your reticular activating system? Your RAS is the greatest supercomputer ever created, and it lies within your brain. So imagine you're in the hallway and you're just hanging out with your friends, and the principal calls you by your name. You stop, turn your head, and answer them. That is your reticular activating system at work. It's literally downloaded everything that you've ever heard. And its main job is to filter out any information that is not of importance to you and to keep you safe and to keep you alive. This is why when you have children, it's of serious importance to speak positive things into them. See, you were born to win and you were programmed to lose. Every single person comes into this life with a blank canvas, a blank slate. And when you were born into this world, you came in with no negative programming. I want you to tell me some things, some negative things that you have been told in your life. I'll go ahead and start. Jay, you're not smart enough. Jay, you play too much. Jay, you're just not that guy. You're bad at math. You can't read well. You don't speak well. So look, now here we are, okay? For the first 7 years of your life, you had absolutely no control over the information that was downloaded into your supercomputer. You were an adolescent who was taught how to think, what to think, and you had no say in the matter. You were given this perfect blank canvas, and somebody other than yourself who had total control and influence over you at the time shaped your world without even consulting you about it. You've been ripped apart and left in pieces. And now you're trying to pick up those pieces while trying to figure out why you're internally struggling so much with moving forward towards your big dream. So God forbid this ever happens, but imagine that you were the victim of a stabbing in a not so nice part of town. You did absolutely nothing wrong, just the unfortunate circumstances of being at the wrong place at the wrong time. But you're bleeding, And if you don't get treatment right now, you're going to bleed out. It wasn't your fault that you were a wound victim. It's not your fault that your wound is life-threatening. But if you don't handle your wound, you will suffer the consequences of losing your life. It's not fair, but it is what it is. And the only one who is going to be able to mend those wounds is yourself. See, I built a very large organization in the network marketing company I was involved in. So unfortunately, I wasn't ready to lead a big group, even though I put in numbers very quickly. And just as quickly as they came in, they fell right back out and I lost all of my income. So down but not out, I surrounded myself with my vision board. A vision board is a visual cutout of positive goals that you look at on a daily basis to remind you of what you're working towards. So I have a brother who despises this, as he knows I visualize as a practice. His name is Jared. Everybody say, "Oh, Jared." So nonetheless, I was at a low point and I was confiding in him my frustration. And as soon as I was done talking to him, he began to thank the Lord. I was confused, and he began to tell me that he prayed that I wouldn't be successful until I gave up my dream of success and joined him in his religion. See, he caught me at a moment of weakness while I was vulnerable, and his words sunk me into a depression. You know, maybe he was right. Maybe it's not meant for me. That was until I snapped out of it and changed my paradigm. See, there's an importance of figuring out why you do what you do, and if you don't like it, we need to change your paradigm. A paradigm is the way that you see the world. How many of you in here know how the thermostat unit in your house works? So let's say the temperature is in your house is set at 75. It's cold outside and somebody opens the door and it drops the room temperature to 72. The thermostat will then automatically kick in and turn on the heat until it raises the temperature back to 75. Your reticular activating system does the same thing. It puts your financial thermostat on autopilot. So your mom makes $65,000 a year. There's a pretty good chance that you'll also earn $65,000 per year. Why? Because it's what you know. And when you try to break out and go higher, your RAS system kicks on and says, "Oh no, we're out of our comfort zone." And it does everything it can to set your thermostat back to safety. See, if you want to change your life, then you better right here, right now, change your paradigm. And the easiest way to do that is to raise your standard. I want you to imagine that in my left hand I have a gallon of water, and in my right hand I have a 12-ounce glass. I pour the water from the jug into the glass and it rises halfway up the cup. If you were to see the glass half empty, that would make you a pessimist. If you were to see the glass half full, that would make you an optimist. The good news is you get to dictate how you view it. So instead of Jared being my biggest hater, he's now my biggest motivator. Paradigm shift. Your critics will say, "Don't start a business because 9 out of 10 businesses fail." I say, "Cool, I start 10 businesses and I win." And when you win big, because in life you only have to be right once. Paradigm shift. What would you do tomorrow if you knew you couldn't fail? Act like it. Act like you're going to win. Act as if you've already won. Portray the person that you would be if you had already accomplished everything that you had set out to do. I can assure you, by raising your standard and doing these things, you will create a new normal, a new autopilot. Your new life will never be the same because you faced the darkness that was inside of you and a new light has emerged. Work on your craft and you'll make a living. Work on yourself and you'll make a fortune. Raising your standard also applies to association. Who are you hanging out with? You'll be the average income of the 5 people you hang around the most, and I encourage you to hang out with me. Are you hanging out with people who are talking about dreams, goals, and ideas, or are you hanging out with people who are talking about other people? If you want to take your income from $65,000 a year to $100,000 a year, go hang out with 5 people who earn $100K, and eventually you'll be the 6th. See, I was working in a shoe store, and a very well put together couple came in and were shopping for shoes for a wedding for the husband. The wife and I were speaking as we were putting styles together, and the husband spoke up. His name was Greg Boyko, and he asked me out of curiosity, "What else do you do?" I told him I was an athlete and I was working out and getting ready for my combine. He invited me to his bar as he was an owner. So I went and I checked it out, and there he introduced me to the industry of network marketing. See, I'd never seen a business model like that before. I wanted to participate, but I didn't have the money to invest in a business. So he told me if I came back the next day with the contact information of 200 people that I knew, he would pay my initiation fee. I came back with 350 contacts. Because of that effort, Greg introduced me to a network of dozens of millionaires that I've built personal relationships with. I asked him, "Why did you do that?" He told me, "Jay, I tell people to make a list and most people won't even come back with 10. You nearly doubled what I asked you for. At that point, I knew you were worth my time." Greg, to this day, is still the best business mentor I've ever had. So you're getting ready to get a connection to the person you think is the least of all, and yet still that person is going to introduce you to your next blessing. Who are you hanging out with? You need to find friends who encourage you. Because when you're on your journey, it's your inner circle that's going to push you to stay in the game when you face the giants that are without a doubt coming. Giants are real. They're enormous and they're there to block your path. And you're going to have to fight those giants that stand between you and the fulfillment of your dream. Some of those obstacles include corruption, rejection, unbelief, fear of failure. I encourage you to take the risk to get past them. You got to rely on your wisdom for the truth because it serves as the weapons and as your armor. So my junior year of high school, I transferred schools and I met a man who was exactly what I needed at the time. I needed structure. I needed discipline. He was harder on me than any man I've ever met. He was my basketball coach, Todd Whiteman. So as we were coming up on deciding where I wanted to go to college, he told me that I needed to take the ACT to qualify to not only go to school, but also to be eligible to play ball at the next level. So we scheduled a time for me to take the test, and on the test I didn't go. I was terrified of failing. So when I got back to school after that weekend, we had a workout in the weight room. He asked me, how the test went, and I told him I didn't go. He turned red, and in our weight room there was an office. He kindly but firmly escorted me to that office, and he ripped into my soul as if we had just lost a game to our rival. But he ended with something I'll never forget. He said, "Do you want to get stuck here with all these losers who doubt you and want to see you fail?" I shook my head no. He said, "McDonald, you get your tail back up to that exam center and take that test, or so help me God." I went, I passed, I qualified. To this day, it was the greatest scary moment of my life. See, Coach Whiteman saw what I could not. While I could only recognize why I didn't want to take that test, he not only saw my dream and what it would accomplish, but also that I would reach my full potential as I achieved my dream. See, everybody has a dream and it's never too late to pursue it. And if you don't do it, something important will not happen. So recently I was encouraging a friend to step out of their comfort zone. "You're a walking TED Talk," they told me. And I asked them, "What do you mean?" My friend said to me, "Every time you open your mouth, someone is encouraged and they leave the conversation with a glow on their face." See, I didn't know it at the time, but hearing those words helped me find my gift. All of the struggle, all of the pain, all of the ups and downs, all of the disappointment that I experienced led me to what I was meant for. See, I have a friend, we'll call her Destiny, to thank for that. Men in the room, money will bring you the woman that you want. The struggle will bring you the woman that you need. You're going to run into people in your life who have similar dreams, and because they have the resources you lack and the skills you haven't learned yet, they can meet important needs that you can't, and it's going to help you find your gift. Let me tell you something. You spend less than 20 minutes with me, you without question believe in yourself and find your gift. While the rest of the world is telling you that you can't, I'm the weirdo in the corner telling you that you can. See, I'm going to look you in the eyes and tell you your future. If you've made it this far, then you're a warrior. And some of you were cut from sports teams. Some of you have been held back in school, come from dysfunctional families, scored low on a test, gotten an F. You willed your way to your senior year and you're going to graduate. You're going to the next phase of your life and you're going to win at whatever you choose to do. So it's an incredible story, and that's why people are going to love it. And when it's your time, people are going to build you up, because when you're great and you're new, they love you. They'll build you into something that doesn't even exist because you're going to change the world. But once they've built you as high as they possibly can, they're going to tear you back down. It's the most predictable pattern. They build you into something that doesn't exist, and that means you have to try to be that thing all day, every day. That's how it works, and they do it again and again and again. But here's the truth. You're going to be attacked, betrayed, exposed, and humiliated. You'll survive that, because a lot of people can climb that mountain. It's the way back down that breaks them, because that's the moment when you're truly alone. And what will you do then? Can you summon the will to fight on through all the pain and rise again? During an overtime as a professional in the game of my life, I was blocking for a teammate. He was tackled from behind to the back of my legs. My knee buckled forward, but my heel stayed planted to the ground, and I busted my Achilles. I walked gingerly to the locker room with the help of the trainers. They sat me on the table, cut off my tape, cut off my shoe, cut off my athletic sock. I looked down at my leg, and from my calf muscle down to my foot was purple and swollen to the size of a brick. I leaned over and I puked. I burst into tears. I worked my whole life to get here, and in one play, it's over. See, adversity causes some to break while it causes others to become record breakers. Who are you? That will be the defining question in your life, and I think you already know the answer. And that's why I'm here. See, a diamond is just a diamond until someone discovers it. Then it has meaning. The rest of us just want a chance to touch that greatness. We need your diamond to shine, not so that you have meaning in your life, but so that we have meaning in ours. You're going to be remembered forever because some things are eternal. Your Maysville High School class of 2025, and your story's going to want to make us fly. See, today, right here, you get to decide who you're going to be. And when you decide, don't denounce your success because cowards have opinions. Their opinions do not pay your bills. And you are going to have to do today what others won't to have tomorrow what others don't. Stop tiptoeing around. Go all in. You can do this. And if you decide to win, you're going to have to put in the work. You have to pay the price. There are no shortcuts. You know, it takes about 17 days to build a Toyota. It takes about 6 months to build a Rolls Royce. Which one do you want? See, everyone wants to be great. Everybody wants to be great. If you want to be great, say, I do. See, greatness doesn't go on sale. Every year during the holiday season, all of the stores have sales. Walmart had a sale. Target had a sale. Amazon had a sale. All these stores had sales, right? You know who didn't have a sale? Louis Vuitton didn't have a sale. Versace didn't have a sale. Gucci didn't have a sale. Why? Because it cost what it cost. And it will never be as hard as the most difficult race that you already had to participate in. You have never been in a battle against hundreds of millions of other yous that wanted you to die. The hardest race you'll ever have to run, you already won. And when the hurricane comes and it says you can't handle the storm, I want you to look the wind and the rain right in the face and say, I am the storm, because you were born to win. My friends at Maysville High, that's my time. Thank you very much.